forgot my hat. Branding, everybody.
But he candied the meat.
Yeah, more or
He
less.
candied the meat. Out of all of these, that would be the cheapest
I
one.
agree. Well, maybe the ash would be cheaper, but
Well,
no one's eating that. You're
yeah,
not
but
selling any of that at the restaurant. Welcome to Pro Chef Reacts. Long before refrigerators, people mastered the art of dry aging and preserving meat with a wide variety of techniques. Hang drying, cooking in its own fat, and even coating in resin. These ancient techniques concentrated flavor, tenderized the meat, and laid the foundation for the steakhouse cuts we crave today. And on today's episode of Pro Chef Reacts, we watch Guga Foods do all of these techniques and eat them. Quick shout out to my amazing patron, Carter Rowe. Thank you so much for your support. And with that said, on to the reaction.
On today's video, every ancient way of preserving meat. Yes, it took me a long time to make this video. I'm a little bit scared, slightly terrified, but excited to try it to see which one will be the best. And we're gonna start with this very first one. And you're probably thinking, is that mold? Is that even safe to eat?
Tallow.
Here goes nothing.
When a tree gets injured, it uses its secret ingredients to seal the wound, and it is resin, which protects it against insects and bacteria. And in ancient time throughout Europe, this was a thing.
No way.
You didn't want to cook the meat all the way through first though, because it would not work with raw meat. Once it was fully cooked after melting down some resin, the interesting thing is that as soon as it cools down, it seals whatever it touches. And if it can preserve a tree from insects and bacteria, it can definitely preserve some meat.
I love
This takes
this.
time though, as you gotta do a few coatings. And most importantly, you don't want to keep it outside on the sun. This one specifically, I left it there for 85 days.
Wow.
No
And
way.
surprisingly enough, it did not get any mold. It looked fine to eat. And I was actually excited to eat this thing.
I cannot believe that this will last for a very long time. I mean, this is just incredible, everybody. What a wonderful, wonderful way of doing it. And I can tell you one thing.
Oh,
This is really good.
really?
That is not bad. Not bad at all. I thought it was going to taste a little bit like resin and the flavor would go through, but not at all. You can feel the smokiness still. Yes, it is slightly dry as it's supposed to be. The texture is actually delicious.
Wow.
I'm putting it on A tier.
Resin. Holy cow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. And it,
Now, is
title of the
ma-
video,
is-
Ancient Ways.
Is maple syrup considered a resin?
Let's ask good old Chat GPT. Is maple syrup a resin?
Not a resin.
Not a resin. Maple syrup is concentrated sap. That's right. Of the sugar from the maple tree. Sap is mostly water with sugars. That's right. And then they have to boil it down.
Yes, because it all starts out nice and things go real south real quick. You wanna go ahead and cook the whole thing. The key is to cook it all the way through. As
So you said your grandmother would make salami
Yeah,
and preservative and
ash.
this next ancient way of preserving
Well,
meat,
there's also a very famous French cheese with a layer of ash in the middle, right? They have one milk from the morning, they put ash on top, and then something like that, right? And-
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a cheese.
Something
monger.
like
There's
that.
Something like forgot my
It's
hat.
always going to be something like that.
Branding, everybody.
This comes from Ethiopia. After fully cooking the piece of meat, you need a nice large container. Now there's one thing that everyone have in ancient times. People kept themselves with wood fires, and what was left behind was ashes. So to preserve the meat, the first thing you need is a nice bed of ashes. As once your meat is fully cooked, you want to place that right in the middle and bury the whole thing with even more ashes. Even though ashes can have antibacterial properties, it is not guaranteed that it's completely sterilized. As once it was fully covered with the whole thing, you press everything down as much as possible. That way, none of the air will penetrate deeply in there. To ensure that no bugs or nothing else would get in, they were covered with some banana leaf or any other available. Then you want to put it in a cool, dark place, usually a cellar, and I preserved mine for 48 days. When I started
48
removing it,
days.
surprisingly, there was no smell whatsoever. But notice what happened with the ash. It almost became a rock. I think it
Yeah, well, it
sucked
caked
all of
on.
the moisture out of that steak. Now we can't eat it like this. The next step is to go ahead and wash the whole thing. As
We know
this
that
is
thing.
what I was left with. the ash preserving method from many places, including Native Americans.
Okay, I mean, that looks totally fine to eat.
Yeah.
Will it be enjoyable? Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be no grilled medium rare steak, but hey, if you're trying to preserve,
It's a survival food.
African tribes, Middle East, and also Europe. This one scared me.
It broke my heart when the steak was fully covered with the ash. But it is a way of preserving meat. Let's see how it tastes. I know you want to know if it tastes like ash. No, it does not taste like ash. Not only that, it is extremely dry, and instead of actually producing moisture in your mouth, it takes it away. And the flavor that comes out of this piece of meat,
almost like tannins in a red wine, right? I could imagine that.
is not meat. You're eating dirt. That goes on F.
This next ancient method of preserving meat
that
uses honey? Ancient Egyptians preserved fruits, nuts in jars full of honey, and possibly also meat. But the key
That's why
was
the
to cook
salami is a
meat-
good thing to do in the ash, because you're concentrating in like jerky, salamis.
Right, right.
So you're taking a lot of high fat content and you're
Right.
reducing it.
Right, right.
You know, and the moisture, and the extraction of the moisture actually helps.
Right,
A steak, you know, like, you wouldn't want to preserve a steak that
Right,
way.
right.
It's like that's his choice.
right,
That method is for particular.
right. Particular types of protein.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a salami is going to have a much higher fat
Yeah.
content than a steak, right? Even a well-marbled steak.
Exactly.
meat all the way through first. That way you would preserve it from spoiling, often done by smoking. There was one other step that you must take, and that would be to heat up the honey slowly, as once that's done, it is much easier for you to pour. There's one other key thing to do, and that would be to submerge the whole thing, making sure it was airtight. And what I did next is to set this on a dark place and leave it there for 45 days. Because once you are ready to eat, you take it out, clear up the honey, slice it nice and thin, and if you are like me, you are wondering how this
Wow.
is going to taste.
If smell is an indication of good, this should be delicious. Cheers. Oh, that is such a delicious bite. So originally,
Yeah, but he candied the meat.
Yeah, more or
He
less.
candied the meat. So
Yeah,
it's like Chinese barbecue sparrows,
Right,
basically.
right,
You know what I mean?
right, yeah.
But the thing is, like, yes, that's a good way. But if you have that much honey,
Right.
you're
That's
not-
expensive.
that's expensive.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
using it for that purpose. I mean, that would be great for a spare rib recipe.
Frenchy, you know how to make those spare ribs taste even better? After a 5 quick hits fast-acting cannabis edible, the sponsor of today's video. 5 has taken their delicious gummies, infused them with strain-specific terpene blends, and engineered them to hit in less than 10 minutes. Faster, smarter, designed for those who care about what they consume. That's right, your favorite high-quality dispensary-grade 5 edible gummies now kick in 10 minutes, delivered legally straight to your door, and it doesn't hurt. They're pretty freaking delicious. I've stopped smoking and vaping of any kind for over 10 years now, as I don't like what it does to my lungs. I also don't like the odors, and fortunately with gummy edibles, I don't have to deal with any of that, but I get all the benefits. And since 5's quick hits hit in 10 minutes or less, there's a lot less of a guessing game, a lot more relaxing with a leading trusted brand. Get a free pack of one of our 4 flavors of 5 quick hits gummies. Just pay shipping. And remember, you have to be 21 and older. Visit the link in the description below.
thought that it was going to be extremely sweet, but it's not that sweet at all. Because remember, it was previously cooked. So there's not a lot of penetration. The sweetness that you feel
what she
is more
said.
on the actual crust. This is an incredible way of preserving meat. And the flavor that comes out of it is actually craveable. It's not very juicy because this one specifically has been sitting on honey for a little bit over 45 days. And obviously you have to cook it well done, which is something sacrilegious for Brazilians. But it is an incredible way of preserving meat, and I'm putting it on A tier.
Okay.
This next method is used by a lot of Native Americans. Imagine after your hunt, you have a lot of meat left, and you want to preserve it some way, somehow. And this one was quite convenient to do. A lot of times, Native America would hunt buffalo, deer, elk, or very lean meat. To cut this piece of meat, I'm going to keep it traditional by using this knife. This is an obsidian knife. It's basically a natural volcanic glass. It's shiny, extremely sharp, and often used in ancient times. Now the question is, does it cut? As you can clearly see, oh yes it does. It actually works extremely well. It is no problem at all to open this filet mignon. And if you're not careful, you will definitely cut yourself. But there's a problem. If you hang this outside, we gotta keep the bugs away. And for that, they made a quick spice mix. You wanna combine some juniper peppers, salt, black pepper, and sage. Blend that up real good, and you are...
I did not know that part.
What?
I assumed that jerky was just plain, but yes, you need
you have
that.
to spice it. Yeah,
you have to keep away.
So growing up, my dad dried a lot of fish after he would go on fishing trips, and he would hang it in the backyard. And we had a pond back there, so there was a lot of bugs. And he would just salt the hell out of the fish and tie them up, hang them outside. And
how did he get the salt to stick? Did he pat them?
Yeah, exactly. He like patted them.
And then didn't shake them and just hung them that way.
Yeah.
Left with this, the bug repellent. You want to add a little bit, but not too much. And the key here is to hang it.
Makes you wonder why we're not doing that to repel bugs instead of using all these chemicals on us.
Rubbing salt on ourselves?
Well, if you mince that fine enough and put it in a liquid and just...
Well, you know, my wife makes homemade bug repellent. I still have a few bottles. I'll bring it over, but there's no chemicals. It's all...
what is it? What's the main ingredient?
Oils, like essential oils, you know? So I don't know.
Mint, right? Eucalyptus.
Stuff like that. I don't know, but it's all oil. It's all oil based.
Once it was completely dry, take a look. This is what we're left with. The ancient way of creating beef jerky. I'm very curious to find out what is this going to taste like.
They don't taste good.
The sun is extremely powerful. This is not beef jerky. It smells good.
Gonna be very tough because it's so lean.
It's very dry. It's brittle, you see? The sun has completely evaporated any moisture inside of this piece of meat. And because it's so dry, it's not flavorful. It feels like I'm eating dirt. This is a terrible way of preserving a piece of meat. It's not even a nice snack.
Again, you can use with the right recipe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a survival food. And, you know, is that something you would rehydrate?
I wouldn't want.
I wouldn't.
Slimy.
Trying to think.
What's
the application? No,
that'd be like rehydrating a corpse.
Right.
Hopefully this next one might be better, but by the looks of it, I could be completely wrong. If you love pickles, this one might be for you.
Oh,
the
yeah,
key
but again,
to make this work properly is that you must
okay, wait a second. All these processes are meant for particular ingredients.
Yeah.
He's using steak on all of these.
Right.
Yeah, that's the pickling is. It's gonna pickle.
Yeah, it's gonna pickle. I mean, you know, they pickle eggs.
Yeah.
You know. All right.
All the way through. You can't use it raw.
I mean, this is
as
Guga
the
we're
pickling
talking
mix
about.
itself will actually cook the steak. So you're better off cooking it and producing some crust at least. Apparently, this was such a thing that they even used it in World War II. As once you have your steak fully cooked, and also your pickling mix, inside the tomahawk goes. It's a tight fit, but in the end, I was able to put a lid on it. Now take a look at this, friends. Used by Eastern Europeans, South Asians, and Persians. In theory, this can sit here for a very long time. You do want to store it in a cooled place though, as the longer it sits, it becomes more sour and tender over time. So I let this one preserve for only 17 days. Taking it out of the container was not that simple. But take a look. The ancient way of pickling meat. Now just like you, I was extremely
Maybe this was a real thing with meat. Obviously not popular, but
curious to see how this thing
and it's not going to be with a tomahawk.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to be with the tomahawk.
was going to look and taste. And as I sliced them, I was really excited as there was still a little bit of pinkness inside, but I was still concerned if this was actually going to be edible or not.
I really like pickle. I have high hopes. Cheers. So it is slightly dry, a little bit sweet, kind of grainy, and after you swallow it, the acidity overpowers your mouth. I'm not gonna lie, I love pickles. This one just was not for me. It's way too powerful. I taste no meat except sweetness, vinegar, and a grainy texture. I will not give it an F because you can still eat it, but it is not desirable. D tier it is.
Now for the Greeks, long time ago, it was a lot safer to drink wine than water. water. Most of the time, the water would be contaminated by the servants, so wine was always a safe bet. And they used it for a lot of things other than just drinking. One of them was to preserve meat. But you didn't want to let it soak for too long. If not, the alcohol would overpower the taste. But there was one other thing that would preserve the meat after it was soaked, and that would be salt, as it would start the curing process. It was also extremely important to let the meat hang dry. That way you try to get out as much moisture as possible, allowing you to preserve the meat for a very long time.
I think he chose the short rib for this in particular so that when he hooks the meat, he has a bone to latch onto.
Mine was
Again, my grandmother
preserved for
used this
32 days.
process.
Now, since the meat was raw, you
And
still got
used to hang it
and smoke.
in the chimney because you couldn't, you know, it rains.
Yeah.
Like there's no consistent. But in the chimney, you know, a lot of the moisture escapes, and
Right.
you can create that dry scenario.
And I'm assuming she's using the chimney as well, so it's getting
Yeah.
smoked.
It's constantly.
Smoking it with some wood
like,
is
again-
definitely the way
Oh,
to
he's
go
smoking
for
it too.
me, because the end result would be something extremely
Ooh.
different than fresh meat.
I'm mostly excited about this one because I love smoking meat. Wine is a perfect pair with most meats, and the smell that is coming out of this thing is insane. Cheers.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Wow.
That's good.
If you're wondering if you can feel the alcohol, yes, but very lightly, not too much. It is extremely flavorful. Little bit of acidity and bitterness to fight out the fattiness of this cut, and it's still
Imagine a beef bourguignon version of this.
And leave the short rib whole too.
Yeah.
Oh,
extremely juicy, tender, and delicious. That is a win-win on my book.
I
The
agree.
only reason it would not go on an A tier is because there's still a little bit of the bitterness of the alcohol. But it's an Asian way of preserving meat, and it works. I'm putting
That
it
might be a
on
plus though. That bitterness from the wine,
right.
depending on your taste
Yeah,
buds.
yeah. Depending on preference, right?
Hugo's not a fan of it.
During ancient times, instead of
Confit,
using
baby.
a refrigerator, this was often used, especially
I
by
have
the French.
I have all my grandmother's old confit pots.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
The goal was always to preserve as much meat as
duck
possible
legs.
by cooking it in its own fat. So if you're cooking duck, preserve it with duck fat. But before you can preserve
duck.
it,
Oh,
you
we're
must
doing
cook
duck
it
now,
all the
are
way
we?
through. You are achieving two things: allowing the meat to render all of its fat, getting it extremely tender, and most importantly, since it's going to be cooked all the way through, it will also allow you to preserve this piece of meat for a very long time. Once it's
Yes.
fully cooked,
Yep.
you want to cover it up and store it in a cool place.
Now, some people in the past still didn't grasp the idea of cooking something in its own fat. They understand okay, you took duck, you took fat from the duck and you cooked it in there, but how do you cook it? And the simplest way I explain it is it's almost like slow frying,
Yes.
right? Essentially.
Really slow. So you
really
never get a
slow frying.
sear.
Exactly. You don't want the sear. So right, deep fat frying is normally at a higher temperature, very low temperature.
I'm letting this one stay here for 6 months. As you already know, fat will always solidify. You can either dig out and take out what you need, or if you're going to cook the whole thing, just bring the whole thing up back to temperature. As in the end, you should be left with this: duck confit. This is an extremely popular way of preserving meat, but after being in this fat for such a long time, is it still any good?
Only
yeah.
one can wonder what this is gonna taste like.
You can buy pre-made duck confit, and it lasts ages.
Cheers.
This is good for every single poultry.
Oh my God.
Pork actually does well too.
Yeah. I believe that too. And dude, confit is so versatile. So versatile. I mean, forget your traditional French dishes. You can make fucking tacos out of it. You can make,
And you know how we said not to deep fry it,
right.
but you can deep fry the end result.
Right. Yes. Right before serving, right? You get it warm, but if you want it super crispy, high heat oil, just dunk it. Maybe if you want to take it a step further, dredge it in a little bit of flour, dunk it in high heat oil. Oh, but also if you pull the meat and sear it on a pan, that's a really nice texture too.
Yeah,
It is so tender, juicy, nice and salty, extremely fatty. Wow. There's a reason why the French still use this technique today. It is phenomenal. And if you ask me, Guga, did you enjoy that duck? This is some good duck. Oh, yes, it is. However, is it the best way of preserving meat? I don't think so. And the reason why is because out of all of the ancient way of preserving meat, this will be the most expensive. And instead of using the fat only to preserve the meat, I would say eat it up or use it in burgers and different things. It's going on BT.
I'm going to have to disagree with that because the fat that you get.
Yeah, it's all there. Like the
Yeah.
resin is labor intensive.
Yeah.
Like you have to measure, again, Google never measures labor,
Right.
right? But collecting the resin, holy cow.
Yeah. So
And then the honey, that's
I think that's going to be far
Yeah.
more expensive than
and
a
the
confit.
confit is and now it translates into a whole different cooking way of doing things.
Right.
It changes the protein completely.
And one
It's
reason why
original
I
to
want to
confit.
say it's not that expensive is I believe what he's saying is he bought the legs and he probably bought duck fat separately, which separately they will be expensive for the average person. But at least for a restaurant setting, Frenchy and I are talking restaurant setting. And I still think even if you bought the duck by itself and the duck fat by itself at your home, it would still be cheaper than the resin and the honey. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. But in a restaurant, we're usually getting in whole ducks and there's a lot of trim. And then we're rendering that fat. So that fat did not come at any additional cost to us. So the technique of confit is actually making sure we utilize everything.
It's cheaper.
So that it's cost effective.
Out of all of these, that would be the cheapest
I
one.
agree. Well, maybe the ash would be cheaper, but
Well,
no one's eating that.
Yeah,
You're
but
not selling any of that at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Here.
And again,
Borderline
labor
A,
intensive.
Seriously, it's very good.
Yeah, confit is my number one choice.
I would agree with that. All right. I had a lot of fun with this episode.
That was very
That was very good. Before we close out this episode, I want to say thank you to all of my amazing patrons. Thank you so much for your support. And for the rest of you, please consider becoming a patron by clicking the link in the description below. By becoming a patron, you get to take advantage of some awesome perks like early access to new episodes and patron exclusive content. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we did making it. And remember, it always gets better. And with that said, I'm Chef Brian Tsao, not your typical chef.
Frenchy.
And we'll see you really soon. Say bye to the wide cam.
Bye, wide cam.
Bye.